Ladies and gentlemen, he's the state auditor of the great state of Missouri. He is a friend of the show, and he said the last time he was on the show that at some point he might make some news and announce that he's running for governor. But that's not why we have him on the show. Ladies and gentlemen, Missouri Auditor Tom Schweich. State Auditor Schweich, welcome back to the show.
Happy to be here.
All right, you've just finished a latest audit. Tell us what's going on with this early childhood development situation.
Right, we audited the Early Childhood Fund, which is designed to prepare kids for formal schooling. It provides facilities with all the equipment and other resources they need to make sure that our kids get a good head start when they get into their formal schooling. And unfortunately, we found a lot of mismanagement of that program. And we reported on that yesterday.
All right, and so what you found is of the $29 million this fund had, $170,000 never went to where it was supposed to go.
Right, and that was even just a sampling. That wasn't. We think the number's probably higher than that. But we found, for example, $60,000 was paid to build a child facility that was actually never built. We found $22,500 given to somebody who said they were going to take care of children. Facility was built, and then no kids ever actually showed up, so apparently there wasn't really much of demand for it. And probably the worst example was we found almost $90,000 paid for somebody to increase the capacity of their child center, including adding additions and improvements to the real estate. And then that facility was sold, and the new person decided not to operate a child facility, and therefore, basically, the taxpayers paid for an addition to their house.
As bad as this is, $170,000 or so in a $29 million fund, isn't that pretty good, considering only $170,000 was mismanaged out of a fund of $29 million?
Well, McGraw, as I mentioned earlier, we don't audit every single contract, hundreds and hundreds of contracts. We audited the 18 most recent contracts that involved expansion of facilities and found 3 of them had serious problems, so that's 1 out of 6. The other thing is the audit noted several other problems, including a contract that was supposed to give guidance on accreditation to 150 facilities a month, and they were paid for 150 facilities a month, but they didn't do 150 facilities per month. We found another situation where the contractor was supposed to be paid $360 for providing guidance to facilities, but every facility they were paid $420 for, with no explanation as to why they were paid more than the contract price. And then a variety of issues with eligibility problems, people getting their accreditation extended when they had not met their contract requirements. If you start to add up the number, probably found conflicts of interest with people serving on the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education as an employee, and then contracts going to another organization that they were on the board of. It really added up to a lot of problems.
All right, and I guess if you just did a random sampling and you found all these problems, that's why you're ringing the bell, is because in this random sampling you found out all of these problems.
Right. We found similar problems when we audited the place 5 or 6 years ago, which is why we gave it a low rating. The problems had not been corrected. I think we got the attention, though, of the people at the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education and the Department of Social Services who jointly do this program, and they've committed to improving the oversight, the monitoring, the process for contracting, because we found deficiencies in all of those areas. It was a program that just sort of went on its own without nearly enough monitoring and controls to make sure the money's not wasted. And we found a few very specific examples that are cited in the report, but really there were systemic problems across the entire program.
Sounds like it was out-and-out fraud. Are you going to turn this over to the Attorney General, Chris Koster's office?
Well, they're certainly aware of it. In some cases, it looked like it was more negligence than fraud, but they're aware of it. They know where the facilities are, and I'm sure there'll be at least the county prosecutors or other officials taking a look at these facilities to see if this was intentional misuse of taxpayer dollars or simply negligent misuse.
Was it, and I don't know if this is out of your bailiwick, was it one office? Was it one person? Was it up and down the entire spectrum? I mean, who was the one doing all this?
Well, it was across the entire spectrum. We audit the Department of Education and the Department of Social Services. We don't audit individual private companies or private individuals. And so we were looking at the way the program was administered, and we found just an overall lack of oversight, which allowed people to get away with things like building facilities, taking thousands of taxpayer dollars, and then selling the facility without servicing any children.
And you said you did an audit 5 years ago on this, and it was more of the same?
Yeah, it was 7 years ago. We found a lot of new things this time, but some of the problems were repeated, particularly the lack of oversight and the problems with determining eligibility for participation in these programs have been going on for many years. Now, they have resource problems like everybody. You know, everybody's cutting back, but we found this was more than just a resources problem. There was just not a coherent, organized plan in place to make sure these dollars were being spent properly.
Sounds like they'd have a lot more money for resources if they were watching where their money went.
Exactly.
Yeah. Tom Schweich, where is this audit online that people can go and read it and find out more?
www.auditor.mo.gov. And it's your dollars, and I appreciate your pointing that out because I hope people will take a look at it. We have a summary at the beginning of the audit, too. If you don't want to read the whole long thing, we have just the basic points that were made, and we hope that citizens are aware that we are looking out for their taxpayer dollars. We'll have a few more audits coming out soon. We're going to do an audit of the St. Louis City Schools will be coming out shortly, the Highway Patrol, and you know, we're on the case. We're trying to find ways that we can save money by improving the quality of government across the state.
You really like doing these audits, don't you?
I do. I mean, you know, I have a background, as you know, McGraw. We've talked many times. My background is in law enforcement, and a job as a state auditor where you're really trying to find fraud, waste, and abuse of taxpayer dollars is a good thing for me to be doing.
I would rather stick needles in my eye than sit with a bunch of spreadsheets trying to figure out where the money went.
Yeah, but when you find something, you know, we found over 20 instances since I've been auditor now of public officials, some of them elected, some appointed, literally stealing taxpayer dollars, not just wasting them, but literally embezzling the money. And when you find somebody like that, and you do the paper trail, and you say, oh, look at this person, they just stole $60,000 or $15,000 or $12,000, and that gets referred to the prosecutor, and that person loses their job and heads off to prison, you know you've done some good. There are a lot of people out there that take advantage of the fact that they're public officials, and I really take a lot of pleasure and pride in a job where we expose those people and get them out of office and make sure people are being properly served.
That's why you do what you do so well, and why they wouldn't get me anywhere near a ledger sheet. Missouri Auditor Tom Schweich, you're gearing up for a re-election campaign, correct?
Right, in 2014, for the first time, I think since 1990, that's what I was told, the state auditor is the only statewide office that's up for election. So you don't have a governor's race, you don't have a Senate race, you don't have attorney general, any of the other races. So you'll be hearing about your state representative races and your state Senate races, of course. But as far as statewide offices, the state auditor is the only one up.
Do you have one of those green visors that you put on when you go through all this stuff?
No, I don't. I don't look real good in a visor, so I've decided to forego that.
All right, I thought like a pencil in one of those green visors at a big roll-top desk or something. I don't know. All right, Missouri Auditor Tom Schweich, what's that website again so people can find out more about this audit?
www.auditor.mo.gov.
Tom Schweich, we'll talk to you soon. Have a good day.
Thank you, McGraw.
You got it. Missouri Auditor Tom Schweich, good guy who is finding waste, fraud, and abuse. Good thing, because a lot of us can't do it.